Hello, and welcome back to Mathematics Beyond the Classroom at Misericordia University. I want to show you another trick that involves positioning of cards that helps determine the appropriate solution. This trick definitely requires participation from an audience member. So here's how it goes. You ask the audience member, you start off giving them about half the cards in the deck, and you hold on to half of your half. You ask them to go through their half of the deck and pick a card, whatever card that they want that they think they can memorize really well and easily. So looking at these things, I'm just going to pick the ace of spades. But of course, I wouldn't know that. The other thing that the audience member has to pick is pick a number between 6 and 9 and share it with everybody. So let's suppose they pick the number 7. They can pick anywhere 6, 7, 8, or 9. Let's suppose they pick 7. The audience member is going to put down 2 piles of 7. There's one pile of 7. And hold the rest of the cards off to the side. While they're doing that, I'm going to make my own 2 piles. Here, I'll move it up. There's one pile. There's a second pile. And here's the story. The king of a country has learned that a neighboring king is planning on sending a spy into his court to try to get all of the secrets. And so what he decides to do is he decides to have a ball. We're figuring this would be the perfect opportunity for the other king to sneak their spy in to be able to get into the court, and also our king's opportunity to take his spy catcher and send him at work to catch the person that the other kingdom was sending in. So here's the groups, the invitations of people that were invited to the ball. What you as the person is going to do, you're going to pick one of the piles and put your card on top of the pile. So let's suppose they put the card there. And now, as the spectator, pick another pile and put it on top. And so let's suppose they pick this pile and put it on top. Now, you have decided exactly how things are going to go. And so I'm going to follow exactly what you did. I'm going to take the king's spy card, and we're going to use the joker as the spy card because no one suspects the joker. And I'm going to put him face up on one of your piles because that's what you did. And then I'm going to put the other one of my piles on top. And now you can decide however you want to put one on top of the other. So we have a single pile of all the people that are now at the ball. Included the people at the ball are the spy catcher, the joker, and the spy, whichever card you picked. Now, as they're mingling and talking, they're going to mix up and get all messed up. So here, tell me where to stop, and we can cut the deck a couple of times, however many times as you want. Each time you telling me exactly where to stop. And now, once all the mingling has started and the dancing and the other things, the dining has started, then the spy catcher goes to work. And he has a list of all the people that are there. And he talks to each and every one of them. And as he talks to them and as he entertains them, juggling balls and doing all the other things that a joker typically does, he's deciding whether they could possibly be a spy or not a spy. And so he goes through the whole crowd, entertaining people, singing songs, and everything else. And eventually, when he gets through and talks to everybody, he has decided there's a bunch of them, half of them actually, that can definitely not be the spy. So he tells the king that this group is safe and they're no longer in consideration. And so now he's got a much smaller group to consider. So he does it again. He continues wandering through. Now he starts telling tall tales about the king and about his prowess in battle. And he talks about all sorts of things just to keep entertaining and has everybody laughing. All the while, he's deciding who could be the spy and who may not be the spy. Again, he's got a match group that he knows is not, and he keeps going. Now he's doing drinking with them and enjoying a good root beer and enjoying good soda, etc. Each time deciding more and more people that could not possibly be the spy, until eventually he's got one person left, and that's the only person left on his list. And so the Joker goes off to the king and tells the king, the spy that you're looking for was the ace of spades. And so this nice little trick, although it seems to take a while because of all the cards, is based on the placement of where the two cards were. We're looking for the placement, I lost my pen, of where the spy is versus where the Joker is. And when they're in a pile, there's a certain number. And what we end up having to make sure of is the number in between them and the number above the spy and below the Joker, thinking of this as the deck from the bottom to the top, ends up being the same. So if over here, the person puts A cards in their pile, and I put B cards in my pile, however we associate it, what we end up getting is that in between these two cards, there's exactly A plus B in between. So for example, if A was 7 and B was 9, then there would be 16 cards in between. Also, the way we built it, we also make sure that there are exactly A and B cards here, or vice versa. So you get, no matter how I've shuffled them, you have a bunch of cards, say the spy, a bunch of cards which correspond to A plus B of them, then the Joker, and then a bunch of cards again. And each time I shuffle, this amount in between them is fixed. Now, we need to make sure that the total number of cards is divisible is a power of 2. We also need to make sure that this number works out right so that as I keep cutting it in half, they keep staying in the same pile. And the magic number for this is we want to make sure that my total in between them is 15. Because then I've got 15 cards on the outside, 15 cards in the middle, that's 30, plus another 2, that gets me 32, which is a power of 2. And so whatever I have, whatever pile this one is, 15 minutes, 16 cards later, it's going to be in the same pile. When you cut in half, it'll be 8 cards later, and then 4, and then 2, and then 1. So whatever number of cards they pick, you make sure your number is 15 minus that. So if they pick 7, I did piles of 8. If they do 9, you do piles of 6. And I only did the limitation from 6 to 9, so the numbers aren't too big. The piles aren't too big or too small. The other thing that matters is when a person puts their Joker or puts the spy wherever, it's going to look like you've got the spy here. There's all sorts of possibilities. You either have A above and A below, and then when I have the Joker, it's going to have B above and B below, B above and below. So when I put them together, I get A plus B. I could have the spy sitting on one of his cards with B, one of my decks on top. In order to guarantee there being A plus B, I've got to make sure the Joker is the same exact way. Then when I stick this one on top or this one on top, I get A plus B in between them. So if the spy has 2 of the same type, the Joker has to have the other 2. If the spy has an order, one on top of the other, so this is on the bottom, this is on the top, then the Joker has to match. And so if the player puts the spy on one of my cards, and I have to make sure my Joker is also on one of my cards, piles. Give it a try. As long as you match these up, and as long as your numbers add up to 15, then you're guaranteed each time you do this, the spy will always be caught by the spy catcher, the Joker, because the numbers and the placement of the cards work out exactly that way. Hope you enjoyed learning about the spy in the court. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Math Beyond the Classroom. As always, if you have questions, please reach out to anyone in the math department at Misericordia University, and we'd be more than willing to help you. Have a good day, and I hope to see you on another episode of Math Beyond the Classroom.